We want to wake up every day and know that the work that we're doing is contributing to the greater mission. And unless we have the right staffing and structure in place, our people might be confused, which only leads to contempt and resentment and ultimately a really unhealthy culture, which means our missions can't be accomplished. Welcome to the LeadingSmart podcast. This is our last episode of season 1, episode 10. We've been talking all about pastoral succession, what to do, what not to do, and how to make a healthy transition for your church this season. And in today's episode, we are going to be diving into the topic of staffing and structure and how that may or may not look different in this new season. So Tim, let's dive right in. Why is it important to have an open mind about what staffing and structure should look like in the new season for the new senior pastor?
Yeah, it comes back to the wiring of the new pastor that's going to be different than the wiring of the previous pastor. And so they're going to need possibly, maybe not a different team, but different skill sets next to them to help make them effective and successful. An example would be your pastor may have been, like the pastor who's retiring, transitioning, may have been a student pastor in his former life. And so he's super passionate about students, maybe about kids. And so who he had for student pastor, kids pastor may have been different than the new person who knows nothing and maybe doesn't care that much about student and kids ministry. So we talked a little bit in our last episode about the working genius. And so someone who has a lot of tenacity versus doesn't is going to need a certain type of assistant next to them, executive assistant, executive pastor, associate pastor next to them than maybe someone else does.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I saw a thing on Instagram a couple weeks ago. I can't remember if it was like Adam Grant or Simon Sinek or some other smart person, but they said that creativity cannot happen in organizations that are constantly in survival mode. And I think, similar to in our episode where we talked about the communication plan of how that's so important because we do all of this work on the front end to plan, but if we don't have a communication plan, then that plan is not going to be executed well. Yeah. And then I think similarly, this is like the third phase of the handoff has happened, but if we don't have staffing and structure strategy in place for that new senior pastor, then everything we've set them up for success for is at risk. So there's a lot at stake here. But the quote that I saw on social media, it just really hit home for me because, I've been in organizations before where it's felt like we're in survival mode for a season. And it is. And for me personally, I'm so goal-oriented and so achieving-oriented that if I am in survival mode, I feel paralyzed. Like I just know that I'm not at my best because my creativity is not working, And then I've had other seasons where it's not scarcity mode, we're not in survival mode, and I just feel like I'm on a whole different level. And so for me, I think that's a lot of this is making sure that the team who is on the front lines, who is in touch with our volunteers and our congregation, that they're being set up to thrive in this next season and that they know what clarity looks like for their role. That's what staffing and structure is all about. I think people miss that. It's the reason why staffing and structure is important. And you can tell I'm passionate about this topic, but why it's so important in general, but especially in a new season is because every single person wants to know, what does winning look like in my role? We all want to have purpose in our work. I mean, I think it's theological. Like it's a part of being made in God's image, being co-creators with God means that whether we're a children's ministry coordinator, an executive assistant, or the senior pastor, we want to wake up every day and know that the work that we're doing is contributing to the greater mission. And unless we have the right staffing and structure in place, our people might be confused, which only leads to contempt and resentment and ultimately a really unhealthy culture, which means our missions can't be accomplished. So yeah, it was a rant. I feel like that was a whole...
That was a rant. That was great. Yeah. And so what we do sometimes is we find the right person and then we kind of put handcuffs on them because we don't give them the tools, the space, or the people that are really going to allow them to succeed. As you were talking, I reflected on a search I did for succession work I did for a church in Atlanta 10 years ago. And this was a founding pastor. He'd been there for 35 years, and he was ready to transition. This is the guy we talked about in a previous episode who was 69 and said, I don't see myself being a senior pastor when I'm 70.
Yeah.
I don't see this church having a senior pastor when I'm that's 70 years old. So anyway, what this guy did, he had 4 other pastors on staff that all started kind of with him with the founding of the church. And what he did, how he blessed his successor is he said, I'm going to initiate the transition for all of us at the same time. Because like if this next person starts and then these guys all or people all retire a year later, 2 years later, it's not going to set them up for success. Versus they're going to retire soon anyway. Let's just do it all together. And then this person gets to kind of build their team, rally the people around him or her that they need. So
Yeah.
I think that's like, he was thinking through, I don't want to handcuff my team or handcuff the next pastor because they're basically inheriting a team.
That's really good. And not even handcuffing the next senior pastor, but also hurting the culture
Yeah.
in that next season. Let's talk about that for a second. Like culture, staff retention. What are some best practices that church leaders need to have in mind as they're thinking about that next season and supporting the vision of the incoming senior pastor?
Yeah, I mean, my bias is you should be thinking about culture and staff
All the
health
time.
all the time.
Sorry.
Yes.
I got overly excited and finished your sentence
Yeah,
before you.
thank you.
Yeah.
And really my bias is like if someone doesn't wake up every day thinking about the health of your team, it's going to go down, not improve. And so someone needs to be thinking about that. But especially in times of key times of change, like significant change, which pastoral transitions among the most significant change a church goes through. And the new pastor is going to have, the culture is going to change, like or she's going to have like a DNA set. They're going to have some cultural values that mean a lot to them that maybe are different. They're going to resonate in some ways with certain of your values differently. And they're going to communicate them differently. So it is going to change, but it's important not to don't wait on the work of infusing positivity and work intentionality into your staff values and staff culture work. Don't wait for the next pastor for that. I start that now. Start that, hand the new pastor a really, really healthy, engaged team that's vibrant, that's glad that they get to work there and loves what they get to do.
What should you be thinking about ahead of time, anticipating that there might be some folks on the team who aren't opting in for this new vision or this new strategy or this new structure? What does that look like? Because that could be scary as the incoming pastor. It's like, oh man, I don't want to be the guy or gal who's like disliked immediately because I have to make changes. Sorry, I feel like I went in 2 directions there. But like, I guess the first question that I had was when that new leader is detecting that there might be some cynicism or distrust or resistance to change, how long do you give the team to adjust before you're like, hey, are you in or are you out? What are some?
I think you
things
give a
you do?
little bit of space. I mean, you're going to have, like on any change, you get the curve of change. So you got the early adopters, and then you have those that are going to probably, dig their feet in until they die or until they get kicked off the staff. And you're going to have a whole lot of people in between. And people in between are going to be hopeful. They're going to be, they're going to really want the best. They're going to, be hoping for the best, but they don't know.
Yeah.
And so I've heard it said even, and I don't know if this is actually true, like stat wise, but heard it said that you'll have about 20% turnover in a healthy transition.
Yeah.
Within like the first 2 years. So not immediately.
And this is on staff, not congregation.
This is both staff and congregation.
Oh, okay.
Because with congregation, you're going to have a bunch of new people that are excited because the guy is younger or he's whatever, he or she. And on the and you also have some people hang on and be like, I was going to actually leave the church anyway, but I love my pastor. Now he's leaving, so I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
I was going to move, but I was waiting. That kind of thing. So, but on staff as well. I mean, people will hang on if it's an internal candidate. It's like your student pastor, your groups pastor. Now they're the senior pastor. There's a change in dynamic. So you could have been best friends when this person was your peer, and now they're your boss. And then you're like, I don't actually think I want to work for this person, or it's not what I signed up for. I came to work for the person who's gone now. So people just need a little bit of space. I think if I'm the senior pastor going into that, how long am I giving them? I'm probably giving them a year, as long as there's nothing that's visible behaviors that's working against me.
Yeah.
But if it's just neutral, or they're just, they're there, but I don't know if they're like with me, I'd probably give it a little bit of space, give some grace, let them figure that out. and then start saying, hey, I just need to know, are you here? Are you with me? Are we doing this together?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, anything else on staffing and structure after the succession that we need to keep in mind for making sure that this is healthy, that it goes well, we avoid any of the mistakes that you've seen? Give it to us, Tim. Last episode.
Okay. That was aggressive, but
Of course it was. It was me.
no, I just think be flexible with the org chart. So you and I talked earlier today, unrelated to succession. We were just talking about some work we're doing with the church about like start with a blank org chart and like what is exactly. And so as a new senior pastor, or as you're helping the new senior pastor acclimate, like who does he or she need next to them? Like your past senior pastor may have been like a super manager, and so they had 9 direct reports and didn't bother them at all. They were like, and your new senior pastor's like, I want maybe 2 people reporting to me, like, because I'm going to be spending a whole lot more time and preparing to preach or whatever. And I want someone else to kind of run it. So like, then it's a completely different org chart. So design that org chart without names in it. If you do it with names, you're going to kind of force stuff. Do the forcing later. I think there's an important place for that. But initially just start it with empty boxes of, before we had, these 7 boxes that all reported up to the senior pastor, and he met with them regularly in one-on-ones. And now the new senior pastor wants an executive pastor, and he wants the executive pastor to run all these one-on-ones with these direct reports. That's a different model that needs different people. So draw that out and then start seeing, okay, who do we have? And you're gonna do a little forcing. It's like, okay, they're 80% fit for that. We'll kind of massage it a little bit to make it work. And then you'll have some people that will opt out, and then you'll be needing to look for some folks to fill in.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so passionate about that, starting from scratch and building the structure that supports the mission. And then you have a really great exercise that's the 4-box exercise. What do you call that? Do you have a name for that?
It's Jack Welch's, so I should use Jack Welch's.
Welch's.
I borrowed it from him, but although he's no longer with us, so maybe it's mine.
There you go. Yeah. But the idea is build your structure first, then you can go and evaluate, okay, which of these 4 boxes does every person on our team fit, and do we have a place for them in that structure? And so I really like doing it in that order rather than the other way around.
I think that's smart. So let me give you like a quick overview, and maybe we'll put this in the show notes.
Yeah,
do
absolutely.
We have show notes?
Sure.
We'll have show notes. But you're basically, it's an XY axis. There's 1,000 gazillion tools like this, 4 boxes. And on the left side is the Y axis is performance. And on the bottom axis is culture, DNA, how they fit with the values of the church, the health of them, their fit at the church. So, and then you're putting everyone in one of 4 boxes. So if they're a high performer, they're in that upper right box, they're a high performer and they're high on values and high DNA, then like those are your stars. And with them, you want to reward them. You want to communicate to them that they're highly valuable. If they're in the lower left corner, closest to is it the fulcrum? I guess that's the fulcrum of the axis. We're going to call it that. If they're there, then you probably shouldn't even have them on your team. Like they're a low performer, they suck at their job, and they don't fit your DNA. They're like not a team player. Those are people that should not be on your team. You got to figure out how to exit them off the team. If they're on the lower right, that means they're great on DNA. Staff culture is amazing. Like they totally exude who you are as a church, but they're just not very good at their job. Those are people, help them find something else, or help them, like give them a really long off ramp to exit off the team, but because you want them to stay in the church. And then the most difficult ones we talk about are upper left, where they're a high performer, they're great at their job, but they're not a team player. They're not unified. They're building their own silo. They're building their own kingdom. They don't play by the rules of everyone else. They don't contribute to the health of the team. Yeah. Those are people that you need to give a pretty short leash to.
Because if you as the executive team member think that they're in that top left quarter, then the lower level team members have already thought that for a long time.
That's right.
Because you said this at one of our first episodes of the season, which was that as the executive team, we're often the last to know. And so it's so critical.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's transition into our last rant and rave
At least
session.
for season 1.
Boo-hoo-hoo. For season 1. Okay, Tim, you've got a rave. What is it?
I want to talk about the LeadingSmart team. I know this is a little internally focused, but you guys already know Holly's amazing, and she's been part of the LeadingSmart team for 5 years, but really
Yeah,
like
5 years.
ramped it up significantly this year. And so happy to have, she brings the warmth to the room. I bring the facts. She brings the warmth.
I bring the
So
personality, you bring the smarts.
something like that. And then Dave Dummett has jumped on our team and is helping
Mhm.
churches with some really key areas and consulting and coaching. I mean, you think about having a chance to have someone who planted a church and grew it to over 10,000, 7 campuses, came into a church, helped it turn around in 5 or 6 years.
Mm,
Like someone like that then can come and kind of partner up with you on your team. Dave
amazing.
Dummett's amazing. David Whiting is part of our team. David Whiting does a
Mhm.
lot of succession work with us, exactly what we've been talking about here, as well as some coaching of pastors and executive pastors, board retreats. He's helped different boards kind of work through some lack of health. We have Teresa, who's our experience specialist. We have
Mhm.
Alexis, who's going to helping us with this podcast, kind of behind the scenes, and
Mhm. Social
does all
media.
of our social media.
Mhm.
Faith Schiller helps us with some things related to young adults. Betsy Sonny helps us with some things related to spiritual formation and does consulting around digital strategy. So we have a really
Incredible.
fantastic team.
And a couple more joining soon,
A couple more we'll
which you
talk
can't
about.
talk
So
about. Eek. And Tim, it's just, I'm not going to rant because I just want to also add to your rave that maybe I'm raving about you. I don't know. But like, it is so cool because I've been alongside you and I've known you for over a decade now, like really walking alongside you with Leading Smart for 5 years. But you didn't go all in on Leading Smart as, full-time consulting until almost 2 years ago, a
that's right.
little over, it's like 2 years and a
About two.
month or
Yeah.
something. Um, and it has just been phenomenal to see how much value you've been able to bring so many
Mm,
church leaders. Because every client you work with is so different and is all
yeah.
facing different challenges. And your ability to meet them where they are with love and kindness and support, but
Mm,
truth as well. And it's just been so cool to like think about how you came to me a couple years ago and was like, I'm thinking about going full time with Leading Smart. And then now you just rattled off like
mm.
10 different names, that are helping churches all over the country and world.
It's
So
been so much fun.
it is so cool.
Yeah.
It's awesome. All right. Well, wanted to give you a little bit of a preview. We have season 2 coming up next. We're not going to tell you what the topic is yet, but we would love to hear your ideas for future seasons. So email us at hello@leadingsmart.com. Would love to hear your ideas. Would love to hear any thoughts or feedback or challenges on anything that you've heard in season 1. And then most of all, if you're looking for a partner to come alongside your church, really for any strategic direction, but specifically pastoral succession or board health, we would love to partner with you in that. So you can go to leadingsmart.com. You can contact us. We'd love to do a free exploratory call. Just hear about where you are and how we can help you get to where you want to be. Anything else, Tim?
Man, this has been fun. This
Mm-hmm.
is a topic we both care deeply about. This is a topic that a lot of pastors are not going to, self-identify the fact that they're thinking about it, but a lot of them are.
Yeah.
And so, use this as a resource. Use this series or this season as a resource to get in front of your board, to get in front of your pastor and those that are on this journey with us.
Yeah. Well, thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you on season 2. Well, here at Leading Smart, we are so excited to be working on season 2 of the Leading Smart podcast. So, Tim, what was your inspiration for doing this series, which we're calling 40 Lessons in 40 Years?
Yeah, sometime over the last year, maybe coming into this year, I just realized I'm coming up on 40 years since I went into full-time ministry in July of 1985. And it's like, man, what have I learned through successes, through mess ups, through, highs and lows? And then what can I pass along? Because it would be selfish to keep all of that, all of those learnings just with me.
Hmm. Well, that's one of my favorite things about working with you is you have such wisdom from literally 40 years, but from being an executive pastor in the trenches to coaching churches and being a strategic advisor on succession planning and culture. I mean, you really do have such a perspective of the global big C church. What are some of the topics that we're going to cover this season as you've been reflective and identified these 40 lessons? Let's share with people a few of what those are going to be.
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about just family, like doing ministry with family and making both of them work. because we all see the headlines and we see people that derail one or the other. Like they either have to pull out of ministry because they're sacrificing their family, or they sacrifice their family, don't know it, and they give just too much to the ministry versus like this actually can work for both. In fact, we're going to have some fun bonus episodes. My wife has
Mhm.
agreed to have you interview us, and we're going to talk just about what was it like to raise a family and to work on a marriage in the context of ministry. And all four of my children, adult kids now, age 25 to 32, have said, "Hey, let's get on a Zoom and let's have kind of a six-way conversation about what it was like growing up in a pastor's home."
Yes, I can't wait to interview you in faith and then hear those bonus episodes. You have a couple others out there too that we won't spoil
Yeah,
for everybody.
I'm actually excited. I'll spoil one. I'm actually
Okay.
excited about this because I've got a yes from them now. I'm calling them the Granger OG. So this is our lead team from late 90s in the 2000s, so 20 plus years ago, from Granger Community Church, and our senior leadership team that was at the helm when we had 18 years of just solid steady growth. And we're going to talk about some of the highs and lows of that, and I think really unpack it in a authentic, compelling, and probably humorous way, is my guess.
I can't wait to hear that one. Well, make sure you go to leadingsmart.com/podcast to stay updated and follow us or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast, whether that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, other places I'm sure that I don't even know about. So make sure you follow us to stay updated for when we drop season 2 of the Leading Smart podcast, 40 Lessons in 40 Years with Tim Stevens.